people to do it right now. So if they want to do it and they make a commitment to it, that's what they should have.
I'm calling a meeting to order. Attendance, please.
Supervisor Holdridge.
Here.
Councilmember Artisana.
Here.
Councilmember Becker.
Here.
Councilmember Courtney.
Here.
Councilmember Dysinger.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Is there any public comment tonight? Anything online?
Where's everybody?
It's a nice day.
Yeah.
The first day without rain, and nobody wanted to
Going
come in
once, going twice, sold. All right, resolution to accept the May 21st minutes. Did everybody also see the May 28th minutes? It came in late today.
No.
No? All right, so we'll hold off on that then. Then let's, so did everybody get a chance to do the May 21st minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there any motion, are there any debate points or comments or questions?
No
None.
one's good.
Is there a motion to accept them?
Motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Summary of bills. The town will be paying bills in the amount of $147,063.90. Let me just match that. Give me a second. Yes. All right, reports. We'll do the, I'll start off tonight. So from my reports, I'm happy to say that the EV grants that were, when did we receive those? In 21 or even maybe sooner than that?
About that.
Around 2021, we received awards for grants that totaled in the amount of just under $45,000 to pay for the charging stations that we've talked about here before at the Performing Arts Center and the Senior Center. Unfortunately, after coming to office in 2024, it was discovered that the paperwork to actually receive the money for these grants were never completed to a point of just complete and utter confusion.
Probably sitting next to the water grant.
Yes. So over the last year and literally 6 months, we have been hard at work, this town board, our comptroller, Neil Meyer, our attorney, and our town clerk's office under Linda Zapala to make sure that the grant was, and the full accounting department, including Julie and Tanya, that the grant money would be retained. And we were actually very close to not being able to retain it because of a time limit on it. And we were thankfully able to do all the paperwork in time to get the money. So now I'm happy to say that we literally do have the money in hand. The $45,000 was received, and yeah, we are now covered for those two charging stations. So thank you to everyone who worked on that. I know it's not a lot of money, but it absolutely certainly helps. It's money that the taxpayers do not need to cover.
Absolutely. Good job.
Yep.
So moving on from there, the chief should be in later to speak on this, but I just want to again congratulate the police department on the accreditation award that they received. I know Deputy Supervisor Becker and Councilman Courtney went up personally to Albany, which I'm sure they'll talk about in their own reports about it. So I unfortunately wasn't able to be there in person, but I know it's an incredible achievement, and really, really great job to them. And then on top of that, another great thing that the police department took part in was the crash, which I'm sure everybody knows about and has seen on social media earlier. I think it was on Sunday morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
A really big thank you to Officer Contino and the Empress EMS, who I spoke to Rob Struck, the director over there. They were there within 1 minute and 37 seconds, I think. So again, just goes to show you the 24/7 service that we now have in Chester. I'm sure it helped immensely that it was right down the road from the town hall, but still, I think it's incredibly important that we have that service, and it's a testament to it that they were there so quickly.
If I could just piggyback on that.
Yeah.
You bring a very valid point. If we did not have that service, that it wouldn't have been a 1 minute response. Our average response time is 45 minutes.
Mhm.
That outcome could have completely been different. Like, I know the chief could probably speak a little more than I can, but I'm sure once I first got on scene, they were ascertaining information to 911 to know who to get, how to get it. Everyone needs to step up and get out there. So it just kind of, it's a testament to, an investment that probably saved somebody's life the other night.
And of course, a big thank you to the civilian that I saw in the video, and I think there's probably more than just one. Yeah. So big thank you to them as well. I'd like to get in touch with them. I'm going to try to do so and give them a personal thank you. And I think all of this calls for some proclamations from the town board. So I think we'll be working on that. Moving on from there, I'm also happy to say we're starting off with a lot of great news tonight. We were just awarded a $5,000 grant yesterday for the for our field day that we are planning at the Chester Commons. So this is from the Orange County grant program. So we just received $5,000 from them to help put on the field day that is being planned with the Parks Department this year at Chester Commons. So that'll be good to go towards something like that. And of course, and just to remind people, that is being planned in lieu of the summer camp that we had to cancel. So just in case everybody forgot where that's coming from. It's a new event that we're trying to put on. I think we're going to try to switch our focus to something like that every year instead of the summer camp because of the lack of interest in an actual summer camp. So, yeah, so that's really good news. I was able to get new signs through Orange County DPW for the Sugarloaf Engine Company on Kings Highway. Bob Favara, if anybody knows him, was a huge advocate for the signs. I had tried getting them earlier last year, and I think it fell through the cracks. Bob reminded me this year, and I was able to get in touch with the Orange County DPW, and they have now since installed the signs. So thank you to them, and hopefully that helps the situation over there while we wait to see to get that access road repaired, which I know they did get the grant money for to get it repaired from FEMA. So that is good news. Some not so good news. This morning, I had the unfortunate experience of seeing a turtle crushed in front of me underneath a pickup truck while I was trying to help it cross the road, or before I could even get to it. Please just slow down. We live in the Hudson Valley. There's a lot of wildlife around us. Anything from as big a deer to as small as a frog or something like that. Their lives matter, and it's unnecessary. So just please slow down. Please don't look at your phone while you drive. I know sometimes it's not something that you can control because it's like last second and you can't really respond quickly enough, but just do your part because it's unfortunate, and especially during this time of year when you have all of that going on with the crossings and everything. So yeah, please just slow down and be aware. Moving forward, we have the Senior Independence Program. So this month we had 3 neighbors assisted. We had 3 volunteers assisting. Total number of services was 19. Total number of hours was 11. Number of new enrolled neighbors was 1. And total number of trained volunteers was 1. So that was the update for the Senior Independence Program. If you're interested in helping our seniors, please reach out to us so we can get you in touch with the right people. I'm sure they're always looking for new volunteers, and I think this is a wonderful program to be a part of. Moving forward from there, we have the building department. We had 50 new building permits, 6 closed building permits. We are now at 80 open permits from 2023 and prior, 166 for 2024, and 137 for 2025. Total number of inspections was 42. Total complaints was 5. Total municipal searches was 13. And then they have some ongoing cases that they are wrapping up or working on, such as investigations and such. So that is that. The animal control. We had 19 animal complaints and 4 motor vehicle crashes involving deer. 6 calls for loose, lost, or found dogs, 2 for bear sightings, 2 for turtle sightings, 2 for welfare checks on dogs, 1 for an injured deer, 1 for an injured raccoon, 1 for an injured goose, 1 for a found fawn, 1 for a found baby rabbit or rabbits, 1 for a rattlesnake on a pool cover, and 1 for a turkey that flew through a house window. That made up for a couple of slow months there, I think. Wonderful.
Different.
And then for the actual police department report, we had 316 calls for service, 17,064 miles were driven on patrol in the month of May, 12 arrests, 9 for charge for operating a motor vehicle with a suspended registration or suspended driver's license. That always seems to be a high one, unfortunately. So please make sure you are within regulation for that. 1 charge with criminal contempt of a court order in the 2nd degree, 1 charge with obstructing governmental administration and disorderly conduct, 1 charged for violating the town code for a dog at large. Non-criminal activity, 38 medical calls, 18 residential, commercial, or automatic firearms, 18 reports of suspicious persons, vehicles or activity, 10 domestic disputes, disturbances, or other disputes, 1 motor vehicle crash with injuries, 2 without injuries, and 4 motor vehicle crashes involving deer. Various community policing in terms of 1 house security check, 1,125 business security checks in the month of May. Various trainings happened, and so on and so forth. You can find the full report online. Empress EMS. Where are you? So for May, we had 95 total responses, 96 total dispatches, and 67 transports, and then only 1 instance of no unit available. We had the average response time for the dedicated Chester unit was 8 minutes and 23 seconds. With additional Empress units that were necessary, the average response time rose to 14 minutes and 29 seconds. For a grand total of 9 minutes and 28 seconds overall. You can view the full report online. For the reasons for additional units, there were 2 instances with a 3rd call, and then 14 instances for a 2nd call. And then the reason why there was no unit available the one and only time in May was because they were already had 2 more calls out to Chester. So they didn't have that third vehicle available. And that is the full May report for Empress EMS. Thank you to them again.
Have they done any, did they show on there any mutual aid? I didn't really pay attention to that.
So the one call that they weren't available would be for mutual aid.
Okay.
That's what that means when there's no unit available, that somebody else had to come. But thankfully, it
But I
only
mean, are we, that's us receiving mutual aid?
Yes.
Are we also
Giving.
giving mutual aid? You know,
I would imagine we would, because that's a kind of an agreement that they have. So-
yes, but I don't think they necessarily list this out, but we can certainly ask them to.
I'm just out of curiosity, how many times they're get called out of Chester where
Yeah.
that might make it more difficult for them to have a unit also.
If you don't mind emailing him and asking him to add that to the report, I think that would be good.
I could do that, Tom.
Okay.
if you want.
Thank you.
2 other pieces of good news. I just received word from Senator Skoufis that our preservation bill was passed in the state Senate. So that's really great. I have also received word from Assemblyman Marr that he is confident that it will pass in the Assembly in the next couple of days. So hopefully I will get a really nice text from him as well. And then Councilman Courtney and I have been very hard at work. We met with the Senate Majority Leader's office about the bill. So I'm hopeful that that had some part to play in getting it passed this year. We have reached out multiple times to the Assembly Speaker's office. I did get through to somebody today in terms of an email to their legislative staff. So hopefully they see it, and the Majority Caucus supports the bill as well, along with Assemblyman Marr. And we have been in touch, and we've met with, we've had conversations with, I should say, the governor's office to make sure that the governor actually signs it this year. We have had these bills pass in either or both houses in the past, but the governor has failed to sign it each time it's actually gotten to their desk. So hopefully we can convince them otherwise this year. So that is good news moving forward on that. And then finally, I just want to give a shout out and probably another proclamation too in the future to a residence. Now I'm forgetting her name. Give me a second. Erica Albin. She worked with the Historical Society on a very nice display in the train station for the Seeley family, which I believe a member of this board lives in their historical house, Tom. So there is a very nice display there. I suggest everybody go down and view it. High school girl that helped make it happen. And I'll be working on a proclamation honoring her work towards the history of Chester. But I thought that was a very nice display that she put together. Some nice pieces of history. Before I move on to the town board reports, the chief walked in. Do you want to give that that report on the accreditation and the crash and all that?
Thank you. So yeah, we've had a couple of good things happen with the police department in the last week or so. The first one was that last Thursday, we traveled to Albany and received our certificate of accreditation from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services. That's a project that we've been working on for a long time. And when Sergeant Chambers got promoted a couple of years ago, I assigned that to him as his primary task to focus on. And he buckled down for a couple of years and put some hard work in. And at the end of last year, we felt that we had successfully met all of the standards set by the accreditation program. There are currently 111 standards that are broken down into 3 different categories: administration, training, and operations. You have to have policies and then show that you're actually following those policies, provide all the documentation that goes along with it to show that you're doing the things that your policy says you're going to do. So we reached out at the end of last year. We told them that we felt we were ready for an assessment In April, they sent down a team of assessors from upstate who spent 3 days going through our department, through all of our policies, looking at all of our documentation, multiple interviews with the officers to ensure that they're familiar with the policies, that they know what they're supposed to be doing, and that that we are complying with those things. A couple of tweaks that they asked us to make during the process. They were great to work with as well. We were able to get that done. They put together a lengthy report and recommended to the accreditation council that we granted the accreditation. The council council meets quarterly. They met last Thursday in Albany, and they, having reviewed the report, voted to grant us the accreditation. So I like to say it's the end of a long process that we've been working on, but it's really not. It's actually just the start of a process, because in order to maintain this accreditation, which we've received now for 5 years, in 5 years, they're going to come back and they're going to do a reassessment, and we're going to have to, again, show 5 years worth of, that we've been complying with the policies as we are.
And can you explain just to the, somebody who would be a layman and doesn't understand just how special this is, how many police departments in New York have this?
There are 532 police agencies in New York that would be eligible to receive accreditation, and we were the 189th agency to be accredited.
Kudos to you and your team.
Yeah.
And that number represents the 14th agency in Orange County out of 32 municipal agencies, city, town, county, and village agencies. So
Wonderful.
That's great.
Good job.
Congratulations.
I could just kind of piggyback on that, because I went to the debriefing, the chief had asked me to, welcome me to come over, all of us really, but I know I was able to make it. And it's listening to them talk, this was not something that is just, okay, we checked the box and that. This was a lot of hard work. The leadership, chief, I've said it several times, starts with you, down to your sergeants, down to the folks on the road. I mean, it's one gentleman that was there was 3 or 4 people around the table during the debriefing, and they said there's times they'll walk into a department and, I don't know, halfway through the day, they'll get up and leave and say, you're not even close. So, and I believe they finished our department up a couple of days early, because they usually be here for a week, if I remember correctly. And I think on the 4th day, we were having the debriefing. So it truly, it really is it's a big deal. And it was, and the chief committed to us back in 2001 when we did the police, when we had to reinvent our police departments.
Reform
Governor
committee.
Cuomo. And that was one of the tasks that the chief said he was going to make sure that they did. And again, mission accomplished. I mean, it's a lot of work. And the chief said, it's not done and over with. The first day was getting the accreditation. Now it's just maintains, and it does. And I think it does a lot for us as a community too, protection wise and whatnot. So.
Yeah. Great. And then if you want to go through the crash.
yeah, and just to follow up quick on what Councilman Courtney said, that we did an executive order 203. We had the police reform and reinvention committee that we met, and we did start number 2 goal there was to pursue accreditation for the department. So, and we've accomplished several of the other ones as well, implementing a body camera program, et cetera, things like that. So, and then yes, so Sunday morning around 4 a.m. We were dispatched to a report of a rollover motor vehicle accident on Kings Highway near Knoxville Park near the Ocean Vineyards. While the officers were responding, they got an update that there was a person trapped in the car and that the vehicle was on fire. When they arrived, they found that the vehicle was indeed very much on fire. Officer Trentino was the first one on scene. He handed his fire extinguisher to a local resident who had been passing by and stopped. They both went up to the vehicle. While the resident used the fire extinguisher, Officer Trentino located the person in the vehicle, was able to break the sunroof window, and then together they worked together to pull her out of the vehicle and away from the vehicle. She did suffer some burns, but if you had a chance to see the video, it's not hard to imagine that another minute or two might have been a much different outcome. I did see some pictures of the vehicle as it was towed away, and there was really nothing left of it. So time was of the essence, and you have to be in the right place there, get there quickly.
Yeah.
Positive thing.
Yep.
Big thank you
Good
to
job.
everyone.
We have reached out to the resident. interviews from various press agencies, but as of now, he hasn't gotten back to us to authorize the release of his information, so.
Yeah, definitely keep us appraised because
He was on ABC.
he was on ABC.
There
One
was-
of them
there
was.
There was, I think there was two people, I think the EMT and then there was somebody from Warwick, that lived in Warwick.
Okay. Well, again, big thank you to the officer and everybody else that was involved, Empress EMS and those civilians. It was wonderful work and definitely harrowing to watch and all that. So really great work. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, Councilman Dysinger.
All right. Planning Board, as we have on the agenda tonight, we have someone we want to appoint to the Planning Board, and there's still one additional position open. I'm not sure what the delay is in that because we interviewed a lot of people. I'm hoping that at the next Planning Board meeting, which is not going to be until July, I think, 16th, hopefully they fill that last position, I hope. The employee handbook. I thought we agreed to everything. I know there were some change, requests for a change. You requested, Brandon, and I thought we resolved all that. So where do we stand on adopting those changes?
We did adopt it
You adopted it subject to those changes.
Individually.
at the last meeting. I think you might be confused because we had a request, we had an email chain
Yes,
from a,
right.
yeah, but we're not going to discuss that here because it's personnel. But yeah, the stuff, we adopted all the changes at the last meeting.
Well,
So-
I'm talking about the last couple, but okay.
Yes, but that's
Okay.
separate and apart.
That-
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Chester Common Lights. I did some research. I went on the manufacturer's website to download information about the lights that we had purchased. And I also spoke to the distributor, Turtle, who we bought the lights from, and I posed some questions to them. Because my feeling is that I'm not so sure what we currently have installed as far as wiring is going to be suitable for the lights we purchased. From the documentation that I saw, it looks like each light requires a 5-wire cable. I'm not sure what we have installed. So at this point, I think we need to have our engineer go in there and do an assessment of, what is installed at this point. Can it handle the lights we have, that we have purchased? So, I think we need to do that kind of research before we go any further.
Yes, so we're waiting on basically a proposal from O&R and Rotolo, and then I was planning on having John go out there and look it over and look at what they're telling us we need to do before we do anything.
I don't really care what O&R says, quite frankly. I care about what an engineer that we hire and what they say, and that they communicate with the manufacturer and see what the manufacturer says.
Yep, I
Because
plan to have him
O&R
look
has
it
a
over.
tendency to overbuild things, and that's my concern that I have. So,
Our engineer will definitely
Yeah.
be looking at it before we make any further
Yeah.
decisions.
comp plan, Liz, where do we stand at this point? I know you sent out a couple of local laws. I know I provided you feedback on what you sent me. But as far as the zoning district change, schedules and stuff, where do we stand with that? When will we start seeing something to review?
I'm hoping towards the end of this month, the beginning of July. That was the schedule I gave this board. I'm pushing pretty hard to get that done. So I anticipate if the board, if we can utilize the 25th, which is our designated set aside for a work session. I don't know what else you have on the potential agenda. I'm pushing, I will not make any guarantees. It is, of course, June and the end of the year, so
Right.
the school year. But I'm desperately trying to wrap that up and coordinating with Kristen. There are some other issues before we can finalize the bulk tables. Some of that is I'm kind of, the bulk tables are relatively easy to adjust. I'm writing the text first.
Okay.
We've made the bulk change as presented by the committee, but there may be further changes within the bulk tables in light of revisions that
Okay.
Kristen and I made.
If there's
So
any,
I thought, let me finish those revisions so I can set the terms and definitions and then put them into the bulk table.
yeah, if anything else you want me to review, I'd be glad to do that. And
I've been
I-
sending them. as-
yeah, I know you have. I'm just saying, if there's anything else, I'd be glad to look at it, and I encourage everyone else to review and comment as well. Thank you, Liz. Building department, we finally upgraded some of the software for the building department and planning board. They needed software so they can look at engineer drawings, because some of them come in and the software that we had was not capable of viewing it correctly. So I think that's finally been ordered, so they're in much better shape now. So Melissa mentioned to me that there's a leak down there. I think it was originally brought to our attention back in April. And I guess with all this rain that we've had, it's a problem, but I'm just wondering if Brandon, have we assigned that to anybody to look into that?
Yes, it's been assigned to our buildings and maintenance crew.
Okay,
It is, if they have not already, it should be on their schedule, but it was told to them, I believe, at the beginning of last week. It was looked at back in April and it was handled at the time, from what I know. But then, because like you just said, with all the rain that we're getting, it's become an issue again. So they were notified last week and they should have already looked at it. If not, they should look at it soon.
okay, thank you.
If I may,
Mhm.
just add to that.
Yep.
Also, the area around our maps, which is in a separate room on the opposite side of the building.
Yep,
That it was wet this morning after the rains, probably last night. The grant that I've worked with the Millennium on, which is an archives grant. If that's approved, that should substantially help the issues down there.
Mhm.
However, that's an if. And
I mean, to
so-
give us funding to address it, you mean?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
You mean to give us funding to address that issue?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll know sometime later this month.
Okay,
on
thank
that,
you.
At least. Mhm.
That's all I have, Brandon.
Deputy Supervisor Becker.
Okay, I would like to get approval to expend the $15,000 we had set aside for cameras at the senior center and other locations to move that project forward. I think Dan may have had some price quotes for that. I know we've saved the money, talked with Neil. It's ARPA money that we put aside, and I'd like to get that project moving forward and, get those cameras in place because of some of the past issues we've had with some vandalism and stuff. I think the camera's going to be at the senior center, possibly here, and I'm not sure where else, but I'll work with Dan and we'll try to move that project forward. Do we need to do a resolution to move? Do you want to see pricing first? Or do we have to upgrade the pros? I think they're from last year, Dan, the price quotes?
They're from December, the stuff I sent you around 4:30 this afternoon are from December.
Okay.
So
Not that old.
Okay,
given,
so they're still probably workable.
given the amount, which is relatively low.
Yep.
You just need the three quotes as part of your
Need
procurement.
to get three quotes?
Yeah.
We can get it on, I think, as early as the next meeting
Okay.
on 25th, just so everybody can look at it over and be in the.
Yeah, I'd just like to move forward with that project.
Yeah, I agree
and
with
get it
you.
done.
That would be
Yeah.
good.
Because we have the money to use, and it's just waiting for us
Camera or
to.
two here would be
Nice.
be good. The other thing that you might, it hasn't come up during my tenure, but you are required to have a workplace violence policy with the Department of Labor.
Yep.
And that's an assessment of all your buildings. If you do install cameras, certainly you should be evaluating that regularly. But if you install cameras, you should update your workplace violence policy to reflect that.
Even for exterior cameras?
Yes, because
Okay.
things like, for example, the door down by the building department,
Yep.
someone can easily surprise. And workplace violence can either be interior or like internal
Okay. So that's,
or
so
exterior.
that's something we have to look at with the installation of these cameras. Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, again, we just spoke about it, but I attended the accreditation vote in Albany last week with Councilman Courtney and the members of the department. I'd like to thank the town of Chester Police Department for all the work they did. And they were committed to this project and made it happen. And, I just wanted to mention too, that the vote that was taken by the accreditation thing was unanimous in town of Chester's police department receiving this accreditation. And the new control panel has not yet been installed in Surrey Meadows at the sewer pump station. They are waiting till they get a new switchover unit to replace that at the same time. And the switchover unit is a simple unit that's workable with our portable generator. And just a note, I know there's additional trees that are planned to be planted in Sugarloaf. My thought process on that is that we should possibly wait for anything like that to take place in the future until we get our comprehensive plan done, because part of that plan is a tree planting that's going to set guidelines for how trees should be planted, where they should be planted, not under parallel. So I think I'd like to see that held off until that is approved and put in
Yeah,
place.
so
Yeah.
I already spoke to the community foundation. They are holding off. They're not.
Okay.
They spoke to Keith over at the highway department. They understand, the process here, and they understand that, they definitely want to wait long after until, the sidewalks are done. And we can also reiterate
Okay.
to them that we want to probably also wait and, until the comprehensive plan is done as well.
Because
But
there are regulations going to be put in place.
Yes.
And I think we need to follow them. So let's not
they said that
move
they're,
forward too fast.
they said that they're committed to working with the town with whatever
Okay.
regulations that we set forward.
I did receive a draft scope of a tree preservation
Yeah.
local law. Given its scale, I anticipate that it will be treated like a standalone
Yes.
standalone
Yeah.
local law versus, some folks embed it in their zoning, some folks have it outside of their zoning. Given its scope, and there's some other, issues that would be part of a larger discussion. As soon as I get the zoning to you,
No
I'll
problem.
jump
No,
into
no.
that.
No, that's just a point I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that we're, when things are done, we're making sure that everything's in compliance. That's all.
I'm more concerned with the impact of planting trees and then having us have to rip them up because of the
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Absolutely.
That's my bigger concern.
Thank you.
Councilman Courtney.
Just, well, everyone's just about covered everything that I was involved with. But again, Chief, I just want to thank you. I know how dedicated you and your officers were in getting that done. So, I mean, that's, I can't emphasize it enough. That I understand how huge that is, because wasn't something, I think your words were up there. This was something was in the back of your head when you became a sergeant over 20 years ago. So, I know I appreciate what you've done and the department has done. And then, Brandon, I mean, we just gotta stay, if we can get the PDR thing through the two houses, then we gotta go camp out at Albany on the governor's steps. We're gonna have to do that, so.
I'd be willing.
But everyone else has spoken about what I've been doing, so. So that's it
Great.
for me.
Councilman
Mr.
Ordus,
Lynch, hopefully she'll sign that bill.
We'll see.
Another point is, I guess summer is here again and people are filling up their pools with the hose in the house. I noticed the water pressure go down when I turn my water on. And also the speeding on Kings Highway. Every morning there's at least 3 or 4 cars passing me. And you can't pass on Kings Highway, but they're in all the time. It's always the same Beamer. And it's could be an accident one day.
There was a complaint in Surrey Meadows about a white, is it white?
Yeah.
Really?
It was
I thought it was a BMW.
That is-
that he,
a Beamer, it was a
He said
BMW.
Oh. Well, should probably, I know the police are out there patrolling, but, I directed them to call the police station and let them know when the, times are that they're finding the most issues, but, yeah, make sure you slow down. And yes, town clerk.
Thank you. Just a reminder, Friday is the shred event. There's been some false information by the newspaper on this. They have the date as the 12th. It is not, it's the 13th. It's at the Town Hall parking lot from 10 a.m. to noon. So Anyone who has documents they'd like to get shredded securely, please feel free to come. We just want to know that you're a resident. Once again, pitching Orange County's Office for the Aging Senior Dining Program volunteer request. It's a great program. Their delivery is 3 days a week, but they are always looking for new volunteers. So if you're willing to give a couple of hours on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, if you can call my office and we'll get you in touch with the proper people at the county. And the last mention is about the Sugarloaf Engine Company's blood drive for the New York Blood Center, which is being held tomorrow between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. The great thing this time around is if you give blood, you're going to get a box of Girl Scout cookies. Brandon.
I do
Anyway,
love Girl Scout cookies.
it is a great way to help out.
They should do that at everyone. I was there 2 months ago or so. So unfortunately, there was no Girl Scout cookies then. But
Yes.
definitely go out and give some blood. Any other reports?
No.
Seeing none,
No.
Is there a motion to open up the public hearing on the CDBG application?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I'm just going to give an overview. I've spoken about it, I think, twice now, but I'm just going to give an overview that I just received from the engineer today about it. Town of Chester is proposing continued improvements for ADA access and facilities at the Carpenter Community Park located at 19 Vidala Road. The park currently provides the following recreational amenities: pavilion, basketball, tennis, baseball field, softball field, bocce court, children's swing set, and playground area, along with the public bathrooms. And he failed to mention the all-important pickleball. The town has obtained funding to provide for new ADA access pathways around the park, which will provide pedestrian connections to all of the park amenities. That is the grants that we received last year for around $100,000 that I'm very proud of. The town now proposes to renovate the existing restroom facilities to be ADA compliant and improve the parking lot lighting for safety. The restrooms are within the existing main concession building, and currently there are separate men's and women's facilities. The proposed plan would be to renovate the 2 bathrooms to provide for ADA compliant facility, which would include ADA stalls, grab bars, partitions, sinks, and hand dryers, etc. These improvements will correspond to the proposed ADA pathway proposed as phase 1. It is also proposed to upgrade the parking area lighting for safety and access, providing the minimum foot candle requirements while being dark sky compliant. So that is the overview of what we have come up with between the board members and the park and rec staff and the engineering team. Are there any comments, public comments on this project, CDBG application grant application? Anything online? Seeing none. Anything on the town board here?
No.
All right. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we move forward to the fair housing resolution. This is something that we've already adopted in the town of Chester, but the county likes us to reaffirm it every year that we apply for something like this.
It's fine.
Yes. If I can just find it. Yes. It's a lot of text here. I don't think I need to read it out loud. Basically reaffirms the Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Did you have it?
Yep.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
Everybody received a copy of it. Are there any questions or debate points on the resolution? This is a formality.
No.
No.
Seeing none, is there a motion to to adopt the fair housing policy resolution, reaffirm it.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and then we have an authorizing resolution. And this is just me signing the authorizing resolution that outlines the project that the engineer will fill out eventually, but this vote is just to allow me to sign the authorization to allow me to sign it, and it's just an outline of what the project is, which is what I just explained to everybody. Are there any questions or debate points on this?
No.
No.
Seeing none, is there a motion to authorize my signature for the authorizing resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. Very good. All right. So we've talked about this project a bunch. It is to add, I believe it was 5 or 6 new spaces that would be designated to some sort of senior or veteran use in the senior center parking lot. It is the space adjacent, or should I say between the police department and the senior center. There's a patch of grass there that the highway department and the engineer have visited a couple times now. They have proposed to us that they would need around $10,000 for the paving and striping of the area to add in these parking spaces. This was by popular request of the membership of the Golden Age Club, which represents a large constituency of seniors in the town of Chester, and this has been talked about since 2024. So I'd like to finally make good on that. Are there any questions or debate points about this resolution or this appropriation?
You're just moving the money. You're
Yes.
not- You're not actually,
Did
you're not hiring a contractor.
No, this is all going to be done in-house.
they draft any type of plan to show what they were going to do also?
Yeah. That was passed around, but I can repass it around. But yeah, they have a whole outline diagram of a plan that the engineer and the highway department worked on together, and they're able to do all this in-house, which would save us a lot of money, which is good. Any other questions or debate points on this?
No.
No, I think it's a good thing to do.
All right. Well, with that being said, I would like to offer a motion to appropriate $10,000 from our A fund balance for the paving and striping of the senior center parking lot. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we need to send that to a specific account, or is that good enough? Yes. All right. Another great thing. I think this is part of our agenda to bring the town into the year 2025. We've done so already by getting, like I think Councilman Dysinger said it earlier today, the new software in for the building department and the iPad that they're now using. This will bring us into 2025 to allow people to use an online tax service to pay their taxes instead of what they have to do now by coming in or mailing it in or such. So we already use this online service for other things in the town clerk's office. I know the town clerk and the tax receiver, Vin Maniscalco, worked on getting these proposals. Well, this proposal, they did reach out to others, which they were not able to actually receive a proposal on, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. They did try to do outreach to 3 other companies, and over the span of 2 or 3 months, and they did not get anything. So I guess they just didn't want the business. But this is PayGov is a company that we already use in the town clerk's office, so it fits right in anyway.
And the rate is pretty good compared compared to others,
The,
actually.
yes, the town clerk and the tax receiver did tell me that even though they didn't receive the actual written proposals, they were told what their rates would be, and it is greater than the 2.5 percent service charge from what they were told. So even though we didn't get those, it seems as though we got a pretty good deal anyway. Again, just to be clear, this is going to cost nothing of the town of Chester, but it will, if you choose to use an online service, it will cost you directly just 2.5% of whatever the service charge is.
So I have a
to use
question.
the service.
So the question is, when using this online service, would that put in that directly into the account that you work with, Neil?
Not the one I work with.
Receive.
With,
The tax receiver.
so then you have to have a check get transferred over to put it
He
in.
has to reconcile his accounts, and he has to
Okay.
be the one to basically check off that person paid.
Right, so it's automatically deposited then, basically, so he doesn't have to deposit a check.
It would-
Goes
it would-
to the
It would
bank.
be very similar to what the clerk does now with the water bills, where there would be a settlement report at the end of the day. You would
Yeah.
get the Settlement report,
Okay,
match it to the bank statement, and then match it to the large county property.
right, that's a good thing.
Yes, I think it is as well. All right. Are there any other questions or debate points on this? Seeing none, I'd like to offer a motion to approve the PayGov proposal for online tax services.
I'll
Is there a
sec-
second?
I'll
There's a
second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Approved. Congratulations. We are now in the year 2025. All right. Thank you to the tax receiver and our town clerk again for their work on this. And I believe the comptroller helped as well.
Who?
I believe he did a little
Can't
bit.
believe anybody
Just a
would
little
use
bit.
it.
Resolution to appoint Robert Koff to the planning board. This is self-explanatory. This is the recommendation from the planning board itself to appoint him from a number of candidates. As Councilman Dysinger said, they did interview some other candidates, and we should be receiving a third and final appointment for their seventh and final position on the planning board. But this would be the sixth position. Are there any comments or debate points about Robert Koff?
No.
No,
All right, I will be abstaining. I did not take part in his interview. In fact, I did not know that he interviewed with the planning board at all. But I will be abstaining because I am friends with his son. So that was a bit of a surprise to me, but I just wanted to put that on the record so there's no ifs, ands, or buts about the legitimacy of his appointment. With that, is there a motion to appoint
motion.
Robert Koff? There is a motion by Councilman Dysinger.
I'll second.
There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, abstain. And then opposed? Seeing none. All right, so 4-0-1 with my abstention. All right, congratulations to Mr. Koff. Resolution to approve the $9,446 quotes for a water department trailer from Hudson River Truck and Trailer. This was budgeted for at 15 grand. Thankfully, it is coming in well under budget. Everybody received an email about it with all the specs? Are there any questions or debate points about it?
No, I reviewed the three quotes, seems reasonable.
Yes. Anything else?
That's it.
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the appropriation request?
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'm sorry, not appropriation request, just the request.
Yeah.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Wonderful. All right, budget amendments. So these amendments would be used to purchase just a few additional water meters for 4 of our water districts. $2,000 for Walton Lake, $2,000 for Surrey Meadows, $5,000 for Lake Hill Farms, and $2,000 for Sugarloaf. Are there any questions or debate points on this?
No.
No.
Hearing none, is there a motion to approve all of the 4 budget amendments?
I'll make the motion. A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Right. This, Michelle sent out a email. Believe there was a bit of a discussion. This is to make sure that we are getting the same turnout that we got from last year for our very popular theater camp. We've seen a dip in the amount of people that are signing up. That's because last year we had a very low, more than reasonable price, which was good to attract a lot of kids and families. This year we thought, the demand would be high enough with a higher price to cover more of the costs for the camp. I think we were wrong. So we haven't gotten the same traction. I think that we're hovering around 8 or 10 campers for both of the theater and film camps. So Michelle has requested that we lower the prices, to $200 for Chester residents and $250 for non-Chester residents. I'm in agreement with this. I think we want to make this as affordable as possible so we can have the best outcome as possible, especially with the loss of the regular summer camp. I would like to continue to build on these summer camps. Are there any questions or debate points about this?
What was our price last year on the?
I believe it was around 100 or 150. It was much more than reasonable. That's why it was so popular. Any other debate points or comments?
Hopefully by lowering it, we can get more people involved because it's coming close to the time when they're going to do this also. So
Kind of disappointed. We had 30 people last year.
We're about a month out before the first camp is supposed to start, I believe.
I have no issue with it.
All right. I'd like to offer a motion to lower the prices to the stated amounts. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Oh, I thought that would be automatic, but yeah. I would like to offer a resolution to authorize a refund for the difference in amount of the charges for the people who have already paid the fee. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Any debate point or anything?
No.
Seeing none, are we already did the motions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Liz.
Sorry,
No, it's
if
I
I signed up first and didn't get a refund, I'd be a little,
I figured it would be automatic, but I guess it's better to just do a resolution anyway. Resolution officially, okay. Really more good news. Today is really great. We finally have a generator in the senior center after very much long, arduous process, ARPA funds and all. We now have the generator officially installed. All the connections are made and it is up and running. I believe they had to do just a bit of landscaping to make it look pretty still, but for all intents and purposes, it is installed. And that means that we can now officially designate the senior rec center a emergency shelter and a cooling/heating center for obviously emergency use. People might notice that we did open it up in previous, I believe last year twice, but now we can make it official and add it to our emergency preparedness plan. I did speak to the chief about that, so he'll be adding that in and such and taking that into account in the future. So this is a really good thing. This is a really big
It only
deal.
took us 5 years, chief.
But we made it happen.
I asked for years for a generator for this building, and then they built the senior center, and I started asking for the generator over there instead, so.
And as many who are watching might know, unfortunately, the grant that we were trying to get for the generator for this building has been squashed by the federal government. So that's unfortunate, but doesn't mean we won't keep trying. I think every one of our municipal buildings should probably have a backup generator, especially town hall.
I agree with that.
Town hall.
We should budget for that.
All right. With that being said, I would like to offer the motion to officially designate the Chester Senior Center as an emergency shelter and cooling/heating center.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Really happy with that one. Thank you to everybody who was involved in making that happen, and everybody who's been advocating for it, like the chief. All right. Resolution to set public hearing for Surrey Meadows stop signs, local law. This was discussed amongst the board and our police chief and the engineer and such, although there are some disagreements here and there. These are the minimal changes that the board can agree on. So I'd like to go ahead and get that done so the residents don't have to wait any longer. It is going to remove the 2 stop signs at Surrey Road that are at the intersection of Surrey and June. I know one resident there was very much advocating for that. And then it will add a stop sign at the intersection of Vivian and Surrey, which I believe that whole block was advocating for. And then at the same time, it'll add 1 stop sign at the intersection of Bridle and Surrey in the back there, which that whole block was advocating for. So it's not as expansive as we once thought, but we took a lot of opinions into consideration, and this is what we can get the majority of the board to agree to, it seems. So we will, there's still time to comment on it. That's why we need to set a public hearing, and then hopefully we will pass something on July 9th. But with that, I'd like to offer a motion to set a public hearing. Sure. Yes. Sorry. I will rescind the motion.
Whereas the town of Chester desires to designate the intersections along Surrey Road as stop intersections for the protection of the health, safety, and welfare of town residents. Now therefore be it resolved that introductory local law, and Linda Mike Chabel says number 7 of 2025, entitled a local law to designate town intersections as stop intersections, is hereby introduced before the town board of the town of Chester. Be it further resolved that copies of the aforesaid introductory local law be laid upon the desk of each member of the board. And be it further resolved that a public hearing shall be held on July 9th, 2025 at, I said 7, but you want 6:45, right?
Yes.
yes.
Sorry.
We just like to make things difficult here.
No, I just was editing a previous, and I'd like to make that one change. Or as soon thereafter as may be heard at the town of Chester Town Hall, 1786 Kings Highway, Chester, New York, 10918. The town clerk shall cause to be published public notice in the official newspaper as is required by law.
I'd like to make the motion to set the public hearing at July 9th. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And that actually reminds me, the one thing I forgot in my report was that we received a response from the DOT denying our request to lower the speed limit on Hambletonian Ave from, I think it was 30 to 25, which is the lowest we could go. So that was unfortunate, but I'm not surprised. They have never accepted any of our requests to lower speed limits. I really don't think they should have the authority over our local roads, but
What's crazy is the village can make up their own.
yes.
Village can.
That's the part that doesn't make
The
any
village still has a minimum, but a village can. So if you annex that into the village.
Go figure,
they can modify
yeah.
the-
Well, that's what I mean, but if the village is doing, why can't a town?
The
What,
joys of New York.
what
Yeah.
knucklehead came up with that?
Someone up in Albany, I guess.
There's a bill that I actually have been following, the only other bill that I've been following, other than our preservation bill, that would give us the authority to adjust our speed limits, but I don't think it hasn't gone out of committee yet, so I don't know. But there's still time in the session, so who knows? But anyway, moving on. So last year we had this on the ballot. I think it got kind of lost in translation. I think we're going to try to do a better job of getting the word out on it. With the adoption of the ward system back in 2023, after many years of that being ignored, We have now, an unfortunate side effect of that is that right now, as it is, our town board members are elected on a 4-year term basis, and they are staggered. That is why this year you only see 2 positions up instead of all 4. With the adoption of the ward system, the unfortunate side effect is that it reverts all of the town board seats to a 2-year term, and it is not staggered, meaning they all are elected at the same time every 2 years. So that I believe the full board is in agreement that that is not good for government. The reason being, one might think, oh, shorter terms and then all of them at once, quick and easy, simple. That I like that. It's not that simple. The reason being is, having the 4-year terms, for one, you can't govern with a 2-year term. You get into office, you're learning the ropes, and then by year 2, you finally have somewhat of an idea of what you're supposed to be doing, if you haven't already been doing it. But then immediately, if we were to keep it this way, you have to be running for re-election again. And in an election year, you get a lot less done than you do in a non-election year. So 4-year terms, I truly believe, are much, much better than 2-year terms ever would be. And then on the same time, with the staggered part of it, instead of all at the same time, in the case, hypothetically, you have a full turnaround all in 1 year in terms of all of the board members. You're losing a lot of knowledge, in-house knowledge that is gathered over the years with those board members. So you have a less effective team, in my opinion, if you were to lose hypothetically, majority or all of the board members in 1 year. So I believe it's much better to have 4-year terms and have them staggered out so that you don't have that loss of knowledge and you don't have a situation where everybody is just worried about their next election. They can actually focus on doing the job of governing and representing the people. So this local law would allow us to get something on the ballot for this upcoming election, and it would make it so next year, when all four board members are up for election in the newly adopted ward system, you're going to have 2 board members running for a 4-year term, and then 2 board members running for a 2-year term, and then those 2 that are running for the 2-year term will be running for a 4-year term the next time. So then you have it all on the same schedule in terms of everybody's having 4-year terms and they are staggered out. So you don't have them all on the same schedule. I know that sounds a little complicated. Happy to walk anybody through it in person so I can more easily or simply explain it. But that is the full explanation in terms of why we think this is the better way to do it. And it's not changing anything. We're just trying to make sure that the way it works now does not change, because the way it works now, I believe all of us can agree, is the best possible way for it.
We'll make it simple. This is the way it's always been done. Let's keep it that way.
Yes.
This is a small quirk in the ward system.
Yeah.
And some of that is to just, because of the designation of wards, everybody has to be up at once. So there has to be a clean slate to assign, to get into the wards. And to add one small complicating factor, the New York State Legislature has shifted. That would have happened this year, but for the legislature's shift in biennial elections to even years. So that's why it's happening in 2026. There was lots of calls back and forth. And the scary moment, the courts were thinking about overturning it. And after consulting, we did consult with the Board of Elections, and they were comfortable with how we presented it, and gave us the go-ahead for how we did that. So I do have a resolution, and again, this is subject to referendum, so it will need to go on the ballot. Whereas the town of Chester, following a ballot proposition, has implemented a ward system consisting of 4 wards for the purposes of electing town council members. And whereas pursuant to Town Law 85, upon implementation of a ward system, the terms of the 4 council members become 2-year terms, with all council members being elected in the same election. And whereas the town board desires to provide for 4-year terms for town council members and further desires to stagger such terms so that 2 council members are elected in each biennial election. And whereas the terms of the other town of Chester officials, including the town clerk, the town supervisor, receiver of taxes, highway superintendent, and justices will remain unaltered. And whereas the town board desires to adopt such law with the effective date of the local law occurring after the November 2026 election, and the terms affected being those commencing January 1st, 2027, subject to the approval of the town voters via referendum. And now therefore be it resolved that introductory local law number 8 of 2025, the local law amending chapter 16 of the code of the town of Chester entitled Officers and Employees to amend the length of term of office for members of the town board and to stagger such terms, is hereby introduced before the town board of the town of Chester. And be it further resolved that a copy of the aforesaid introductory local law be laid upon the desk of each member of the board. And be it further resolved that a public hearing shall be held on July 9th, 2025, again at 6:45, or as soon thereafter as may be heard, at Town of Chester Town Hall, 1786 Kings Highway, Chester, New York, 10918. The town clerk shall cause public notice to be published in the official newspaper as is required by law.
All right, is there a motion to set the public hearing?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and that was for July 9th. Ahem. All right,
I have a diagram on July.
yes,
Yeah.
I think I might. All right, one other budget amendment that's needed. $10,000 for unallocated insurance. This is to pay for the cyber that was not included on the initial because we had to change from the old broker to the new broker. So that wasn't included in the budgeted amount. So with that being said, are there any debate points or questions?
No.
No.
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the budget amendment?
I'll make the motion.
Seconded.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So another thing that we would like to get done today is something that has been talked about for quite a while, and it's something that I've seen grassroots support for on social media, is a resident notification system. Linda, would you like to go into what you've kind of found out and what you've spoken to the chief about and me about in terms of what you think is the best situation here for us?
Right. Yeah, so it started about a year ago, I think, where I went around and I did get a lot of pricing, various different solutions that are out there. There are so many. We currently have Constant Contact, which is helpful. We get, I think, almost 1,000 messages out. There's about 1,000 subscribers. And Michelle also has a program through MyRec where she can get information out. However, we do not have other capabilities such as voice calls, texting is limited. We can't really post to social media. Michelle does through just the Facebook account. However, if there's an emergency occurring, if it's something, town-wide, if it's weather-related, or if there's a major closure on the highways, we really can't get that information out to the residents. So there are some solutions out there that offer GEO targeting, also NOAA, if it still exists, emergency notifications, and the like, So of those that I had looked into over the past year, I narrowed it down to a playing field of 3. I did speak with subscribers to all of those solutions. They vary in price slightly, but so does their product line. So you can't compare them apple to apple. They're more like apples and oranges, but they do all offer more than what we have currently. So we would be improving our ability to engage with the public. Some of them offer an app that can be downloaded. Some people like that type of thing. Others, will allow us to actually use our voice to place calls to even landline phones. So that might be helpful to certain people out there as well. So of the three that I compared pretty intensively, the one that I believe stands out is by a company called Civic Ready that goes under the name of Civic Plus. The city of Middletown utilizes this solution. They offer all of the possible notification platforms, and they also have that GEO targeting and emergency notifications through NOAA weather. They also have an ability for us to have internal crisis management, something that might come in help, in handy for the police department. Next to that, Code Red, which is probably one of the more popular or long-standing companies which offer emergency-related notifications. They're a bit less expensive, but they aren't as widely used for general notification. So if we wanted to send out an email concerning an event, let's say the theater or our fireworks show or something of that nature, they have a little bit more limited ability to send those types of notifications. So again, like I say, not exactly apples to apples, but probably one or the other would at least be a big improvement. The last one that I priced and did speak to some of their subscribers was the least expensive, but again, the least options in their solution. They do not offer the GEO or weather service. They do have some text, we can text using that, but that is an additional cost to their base annual fee. So I did send an email to everyone about this with the different pricing and some of the proposals that I received from the top two this year. We had received all of this previously. But yeah, so that is my take on it all.
And you
So
are,
so it's basically you get what you pay for.
yeah,
Yes, I believe so.
and by that you have and you still are recommending Civic Ready as probably the most inclusive and all-encompassing service that we could
Yeah,
possibly get.
if you want to do it all, then that's the one that does it all. If you want to try to do something more than what we're doing, one of the others will also provide that.
From what I've seen from everything that's been sent, I'd probably concur that Civic Ready is probably the one that we should try to go for. I don't know. Does anybody else have any thoughts on any of this?
And I just have a question, Linda. I think the price is what, 9,000 or something, was it?
For Civic
No,
Ready, it's-
Civic Ready?
The first year is $71.55, and then the following year it drops down to $6,000. So they do have
So the
a
six,
startup.
yeah, so the 6,000 is an annual cost then?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on an annual basis.
And we'll have to put information out there for people to basically apply for this to get the notifications.
Correct. I mean, there is some porting that we can do with what we already have. And they will assist us in the marketing campaign.
And that's something we can push on our website
Yeah,
also,
we could push it
And social media.
social
everywhere.
media.
In every
Because I
way we can.
get, they also have something at the county, I get alerts from them quite often, road closures and stuff like that, same type of thing.
Right.
It's definitely possible, because our highway department, police department, anytime there's a road closed, they could use this option to notify people.
Yeah, and we could have multiple administrators internally to allow for that.
Yeah. And I know the chief said that he was in favor of a system like this. He didn't have a preference, but he,
I think
know
that
he
being
said
said, I think it's a great benefit to the residents, and hopefully most residents would sign up for it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to have. because one of our problems is being able to communicate with our residents. And I think that's very important that we can have that capability.
I agree.
All right, so with that, is everybody more or less on board with Civic Ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. All right, so we would need to authorize me to enter into an agreement in the amount of $71.55 pending a review of the contract by the town attorney and the town comptroller. In addition, the town board needs to appropriate from fund balance $71.55 in order to fund this contract and authorize the comptroller to modify the amount of the account A1460.442 of the budget for said purpose. And this would be coming out of the A fund or no? Yes. Okay. So with that, is there a motion to authorize me to enter into the agreement pending the review of the town attorney and comptroller?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
And-
for all the work you did, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
And thank you all for approving it.
And then we are going to need to do another resolution to appropriate from the A fund, $7,155 from the account to modify the account A1460442. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for all the work, Linda.
You're welcome. Thank you for your support.
That's going to be a pretty big change. So I think it's a wonderful service, like everybody up here said. So just to the public, be on the lookout. We're going to try to get that up and running as soon as possible. And I think you should sign up. We're going to try to, I think, work in tandem, obviously, with the police department, but also Empress EMS, the highway department, and our fire department to try to make sure that we have as much capability and notification out there for everybody for any sort of emergency. So be on the lookout and make sure you guys are willing to sign up when it's ready.
When it becomes available.
All right. Is there any new business
Nope.
before we go into executive session? There won't be any new business from executive session, but is there anything that we need to? I will do that as well, but is there any new business?
No.
No.
Seeing none, is there public comment that we want to get out of the way before we move into executive session so no one has to wait?
Anything up there, Andrew?
One comment from Edward Mullins. Is there a limit to the amount of boxes for the shredding event? Also thinks, we're public to be responsible for
What
You're
was that?
welcome. I think he was
How many
thanking
boxes
me.
can he show up with
How many
on Friday?
And,
Oh,
you know, don't clean out your house, but you're not limited at all.
gosh. It's a dangerous quote.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I don't know what I'm in for, actually.
All right. If you have any other questions, Ed, just call the clerk's office if you didn't hear that. But you're not limited according to her. All right. With that, is there any other public comment here tonight? Seeing none, is there a motion to move into executive session for
Motion.
personnel?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're now in executive session. There will be no more public comment. There will be no more new business after executive session. So have a nice night.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Have a nice night.
I didn't bring what I was supposed to.